Mr. Matt Owies, thanks for joining me, brother.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, it has.
What,
yeah.
2 cancellations?
Yeah, something like that. Whose end?
Yeah. You're a busy man.
Yeah.
Been a bit going on recently.
Yeah, fair bit going on. Yeah, a lot of life change.
Thank you, Carlton, for taking a punt on a 21-year-old basketballer who hadn't touched a footy in over 6 years. My teammates in the club have helped mould me into the person I am today, and I'm thankful for the past 6 years. Thank you to the Carlton fans for taking me in as one of your own. The passion you all show is something I will miss. As one door shuts, another opens, but I'll always be grateful for the 6 years of pulling on the navy blue.
My words.
What does it feel like writing them?
Oh, mixed emotions. Thought I was going to be at Carlton for my whole career when I got signed 2018, I think it was. So loved playing for the club, but as this year went on, I figured out that I probably wasn't going to be there, and probably that door was shutting. That's probably how I said it. Yeah, that door was shutting, and just lucky that I've got another opportunity, and people continue to believe in me.
You said the door was shutting.
Right.
What was going on to make you think that?
Oh, well, I came out of contract at the wrong time, or maybe the right time for my career. At Carlton, they I guess signed some guys pretty early on in the year, and yeah, I probably outperformed what they thought I was going to do. So, yeah, that's probably where I saw the door shutting, and I think they wanted to give some younger guys some opportunities in my position. And yeah, either good or bad, I've made my way over to West Coast, and I'm excited for that.
I think you said the writing was on the wall was a quote you used.
Yeah, probably halfway through the year. Well, probably dates back to when I got dropped for the prelim final the year before. I got dropped after playing every game that year that I was available for, I'm pretty sure. Got dropped, into probably the biggest game of my career. And we had some meetings after that, and they said, you're definitely not done. Just need to work on a couple of things. And I went to work and came back bigger and stronger.
What was the mindset like when you got dropped?
Oh, it was shattering. It was, it was weird because I had to travel up to Brisbane to watch the boys, and luckily for me, unlucky for Brodie Kemp, he was in the same position as me. So we had to sit there and watch the boys play, and it's a weird mindset to sit in. Obviously, wanting all your teammates and your best mates to win and get a chance in the grand final, but you're sitting there not wanting to miss out either. That sense of belonging, I guess, gets tested.
You've been described to me as someone that's like incredibly competitive. So to be on the sidelines during that would have been, I can't imagine what that would have been like.
Yeah, it was pretty tough. I guess you get exposed to it during your AFL career with injuries and whatnot. I've had a few over my time, and some in the warm up of a game. So thinking I'm preparing for a game and then having to go sit in the stands and watch the boys play. It's it's the worst place in footy to be, I think, because again, you want your team to do well, but you just want to be a part of it. You just want to be a part of the team that is out there fighting for the ultimate goal. It pulls at the heartstrings, I think.
72 games. You content?
Nah, definitely not content. But I remember when I signed my first contract, I thought it was going to be easy. I thought I was going to waltz in and play, and then I couldn't have been further from the truth. So
why was that?
I thought everyone just ran around trying to chase a ball and pick it up and kick it. And I realised my body was nowhere near in the condition that it needed to be, and then also my skills and self-belief as well. Being probably the worst on the list was tough, and it took me 2 years to get my first game, and when I played my first game, I couldn't believe how quick it was. So to be here 72 games later with a 3-year contract is it's pretty cool, but the work's not finished.
Did that make it easier in a way? Went from coming in and being not where you needed to be, knowing that you backed yourself in to work harder than anyone else?
Oh, to be honest, it's probably a blessing and a curse because I never think that I'm where I need to be. So that's probably what makes me good, but it also pulls at the mental strings a fair bit.
Do you overthink?
For sure. But I think that's what makes me good too. I remember having a psych session with a sports psych at Carlton. She was talking about the high performance either are overthinkers or they just don't think at all. And I definitely fell into the box of being an overthinker. And that's been a blessing and a curse. I've had to battle through it, helping me and then also hurting me at the same time.
What does that look like, you overthinking?
Probably just being quiet. If I'm quiet around home, I'm definitely overthinking. If I spend too much time by myself, I sort of sit in the middle of being an extrovert and an introvert, like right in the middle, so I can be both. If I go too far to the one way, then I'm in some trouble. But that's all the fun of it, all the fun of elite sport, finding out what works for you and what doesn't. And then sometimes the goalposts change on that as well. So figuring out how to adapt when the game adapts too.
Sounds like you're aware of it though.
Yeah, it's taken me some time. My partner probably says I'm sometimes not aware of it, but yeah, I am. And I think that's the next level that will take me to the next level is continuing to be aware of it because there's only so many physical gains you can have. The next aspect will be all mental.
You mentioned that the uncertainty was bubbling away all year. I can imagine for someone who's just described himself the way he has, that this year must have been pretty rough towards the end.
Yeah, it was, well, to be honest, it was pretty rough all year.
Oh yeah, okay.
I over Christmas I did my calf and that was about a 10-week injury. Just little bits over the time. It just didn't get right. So being a contract year, not being able to do pre-season after Christmas, after having a great pre-Christmas was really hard. Feeling like I was running out of time, especially coming off being dropped for the prelim as well. Felt like I had to prove myself again. So that was really hard. And then luckily for me, a position came up in the team for round one off no training basically, and went straight into the team and was fighting in and out of form. Still no contract in the background. Play some good footy, go into the bye. Still no contract when usually contracts start being talked around that time, especially if you're playing every game. And then as the year went on, it just it just kept bubbling away. Wait another 2 weeks. We don't have anything right now. These were all the conversations that were going in the background. And then on the weekend, you were supposed to play your heart out and perform on the weekend, which is tough. But somehow I was able to talk through that with those around me and was able to put out performances that I was proud of. And then, it left me in a bit of limbo leading into trade period.
Were you expecting in the early parts of the season, was there anything that was done for you to suggest that you wouldn't be getting a contract?
Nah, to be honest, being a role player, I guess, is you go through the year and sort of see where the chips fall, but halfway through the year you should have a pretty good idea. They said they loved what I was doing, loved me around the club. Everything was positive. They just couldn't offer me a contract because they needed some flexibility, was what I got told. So that was a little bit of a red flag, but I held out a bit of hope. But sort of the last month of the season, it became pretty clear that I wasn't going to get a contract, or if I was going to, it wasn't going to be something that I was happy with.
Is there a low point that you can draw to any time throughout the year?
Yeah, probably getting suspended for the prelim final. And I was running around doing a session by myself at Icon Park, and that was the last time I was sort of trained, was by myself with a couple of fitness staff. And I remember walking off, about to go watch the boys play Brisbane, and I was like, wow, this is how my career is probably going to end at Carlton is going to be by myself out in the field doing 150s or 200-meter runs. It was that was pretty low point, that one. And then also when some stuff came out in the media during trade period about why I wasn't getting picked up, that was a cherry on top of a pretty stressful time.
What was going through your head when you're on your own?
I was just wanting to be settled. That's all you want as a professional athlete, because it's such a volatile environment. I just wanted to be settled and know where I was going to play, who I was playing for, that I was wanted, that I belonged, that I was valued. That was what the constant thoughts in my head were about. I just wanted to be valued by those who have the power over your career, and then my hard work will take over from there, and I'll make the most of the opportunity. But all I wanted to do was belong and be valued.
Did you feel valued?
I felt valued with how I played and my role in the team, but I guess you can never be fully valued as the season went on, and you're getting told to wait and wait and wait. Not valued is probably not the right word. It's probably a bit harsh, but I think anyone who's, whether it's AFL, NBA, or even just a normal job, if you're not getting your contract renewed, there has to be a sense of not feeling valued or belonging.
There are reports that you were chasing, and this is, I'm just reading out the quote here, a contract worth 700,000 or 800,000, but those were labelled wildly inaccurate. And you said, I was pretty stressed during the trade period, and when that came out, I couldn't believe it. Cherry on top.
Yeah. Crazy. I mean, like, obviously everyone would love that, but no small forward is getting paid that unless you're an All-Australian like a Tyson Stengel or a Toby Green or a Dylan Moore or someone along those lines. So, I remember getting pinged that off by a few of the boys, like, is this Mayo or what's going on? And I just remember sending it to my manager and being like, what's going on here? How does this even come out?
How did it come out? Do you know?
I've no idea.
Really?
No idea.
The reporter who did it, did your manager, is that how it happens? I don't even know how something like that goes or transpires. Did your manager make contact with the person who wrote it? Is that how it happens?
Well, I think the guy that wrote it, I'm not 100% sure. This is what I've heard. Doesn't even really report usually, so I don't know who told him about that. But yeah, I think my manager gave him a mouthful, which is fair enough. But he must have had his sources to be able to report that. But yeah, it was pretty full on to see a lot of people running with that on I don't know, SEN, all these other pages, running on it and commenting on it when I'm sitting at home getting pinged all these messages about it, and it couldn't be further from the truth. I just wanted an opportunity where I was valued and had a sense of belonging. That's all I wanted, not money at the end of the day.
What did the overthinking look like when that happened?
Yeah, it was hard not to go into poor me a little bit. Especially, I reckon that afternoon was pretty tough. Me and my partner, lots of people care in those moments and want to reach out and tell you that they're thinking about you and
did that help?
And whatnot. Oh, it does, because I know that a lot of people love me and are there for me. But it was a lot. And
did you switch off?
Probably not. No, I didn't switch off for about a month. Yeah. And it's been 3-4 weeks since I've signed, so I've finally been able to switch off a bit. But hasn't been a usual off season. If it was just me, I would have been fine. But to see my partner pretty stressed out as well was pretty full on. I
was going to ask, how did those around you deal with something like that, and you as well?
Yeah, they're pretty supportive. Like I'm very lucky to have a close circle of mates, family, my partner's family, who love and support me and are there for me. Probably were a bit stronger during that moment, but after, you can see once the decision was made sort of letting go of the emotions. It was it was a lot on a lot of people around me who were riding the highs and lows with me.
A question came to mind earlier about the whole uncertainty that this year's, I'm not sure if that's the right way of putting it, the whole uncertainty of this whole year and then what's led up to it as well, what's followed. Do you think you're in a position enough now to say is that if there's a lesson that's come from it, or is it's still so raw?
Well, that's a great question. I probably haven't thought about lessons per se, probably just taken it as it's come, but probably that it'll all work out. During the year, all I was focusing on when I wasn't getting a contract or anything was I just want to let my performance do the talking. If I perform well, everything will be taken care of. So that was sort of my mindset throughout the year. Perform well, help others around me, be a great teammate, bring others along for the journey with me. And that sort of takes my lens off myself and the overthinking that goes on there. So that really helped me. So that was probably a big lesson to keep giving back to others and helping others, whether that's on field, off field, in any walk of life. That was probably a big lesson. And then also that it will all be fine. At the end of the day, it's all going to be fine. I'm moving to the furthest point in the country, and I've got the support of my loved ones around me, and I get to do what I love every single day and get to be with people who I love. So it's all good at the end of the day. So there was probably a lot of overthinking that wasn't needed.
Did you have that mindset or belief while it was going on?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I always knew that I was playing at a level and I'd gotten to a level where I can impact AFL games. So I knew that I was going to get an opportunity somewhere. I just didn't know where. And during all the interest from other clubs, it was basically all over the country. So it wasn't like it was just in Melbourne, just in WA or anything. It was legit scattered everywhere around the country. So I knew that I was going to play somewhere. I just didn't know where, and that's where the uncertainty lay and the feeling of where I'm going to end up.
You got asked whether you feel like you got let down. And you asked, I forgot what you answered, but you said it wasn't let down.
No, I probably not let down because obviously at the end of the day, AFL is a business. It's a big business and it's all about performance. I personally thought that I was performing at a level where I was needed at the club, but obviously they've got a different plan and those in charge see a picture that maybe I can't see. But then you're lucky enough that other people in charge see the value that you can bring both on field and off field, and it's a full package. And that's something that excites me about the next opportunity, that I'm going in somewhere where I was recruited, I'm wanted. The way I play can be seen as a positive for both me, the club, and the team. So that's what I'm really grateful at the end of the day, that there's another opportunity somewhere where I will be valued and I'll have a sense of belonging as long as I bring my true self.
What day is it today again? What date is it? The 12th?
Yeah, something
11th,
like that.
The 12th.
Yeah.
And you're flying out in a few days.
Yeah. 3-4 days, I think. Yeah. Pretty excited. A little bit nervous just to be the new kid on the block again. But I'm mostly excited to get over there, get a new car, set myself up, be near the beach, train hard, meet the boys, and just be able to be, I guess, whoever I want to be in a new environment, which is exciting, especially coming from the background that I'm from. I think there was maybe a little bit of a hangover from that. But now I'm recruited as a football player, and that's exciting to me.
Is your partner going?
Yeah, she's coming over in January. So
amazing.
Yeah, it'll be good. Yeah, looking forward to
That's
it.
so good. She must be the one, brother.
Yeah, it must be.
She must be the one. You said you were going over not knowing a soul, and you said you were just excited and nervous. Did that... I'd also like to touch on, was it a relief when you got picked up?
Yeah, definitely. It was what I was searching for since the season ended. So since the exit meetings with all the coaches and everything going on, you sort of lose that sense of belonging when you're sitting in limbo. So I was, that's all I was searching for, just somewhere where I'm going to be settled, sense of belonging. And I was relieved. Feel like I'm going to a great place. Something that I can make my own.
Was there a time in your thought process in the lead up to actually getting drafted by West Coast that you were like, fuck, what happens if I don't get drafted?
Yeah, I was like in constant talks with my manager who did a great job. He was really good at communicating with me and keeping me in the loop. There's tons of ways to get picked up. So I was lucky enough to get it done early or early-ish in the trade period. Knew that I was going to go to West Coast, just didn't know how I was going to be all set up. But yeah, it was leading up to that and having all like these different options, whether you're going to go delisted free agent, whether a team sees you as that guy or whether you're going to be a backup or whatnot was, it was challenging, but it's something that I'm grateful that I've experienced.
You mentioned it was a stressful time in the lead up. What did that look like?
Yeah, I guess I've touched on it a bit. Not knowing where I was going to end up was the most stressful, and then sort of the excitement of finding that out was awesome. And then there was also like a come down, like I'm leaving my best mates. Like you go to the footy club and you got 46 guys that you're with every single day. It's like going back to high school. Like you're with your best mates out there talking shit with each other. Get to lift weights, run around together. You get pretty close to each other. So there's a sense of sadness that I was leaving those guys behind, I guess. But then also, you never know who I'm going to meet over there, and all the boys have been great reaching out to me. So it's got off to a great start. But yeah, there was mixed emotions.
West Coast are a well-established club over there. So you'll be like a celebrity over there, mate.
Yeah, maybe.
Apparently that's what apparently on the street all the players are widely recognised.
Yeah, maybe we'll see.
You said something before, the uncertainty. I mean, going over there without knowing a soul, and it's happening in 3 days. I mean, I can see why there would be that there. What do you think What do you think you're mainly uncertain about?
Oh, it would probably just be the closest thing I can relate it to is going back to a first day of school when you're walking in after your summer break, probably year 7, and you don't know anyone, and you're nervous, figure out your homeroom and whatnot. That's basically what I'm going into. I'm going into an environment where I don't know anyone. I know people will be really nice, and once you get on the footy field, it takes care of itself. But it's sort of just that anticipation feeling that I'm feeling at the moment. But that's a good thing. It must mean I care and I want to do great. So both individually and as a team, there's a fair bit going through my mind, but I've learned to relax over the journey a little bit and just take it as it comes.
How have you learnt that?
Trial and error, talking about what's going on inside my head, my feelings, something that I wasn't good at. The great thing about football clubs is nowadays you're told to talk about your feelings, open up about your journey, let people in, rely on other people who have gone through the same things that you've gone through. Like that was something that I used during my career, and I owe my career to a couple of people that opened themselves up to me and had actually gone through similar things in their journey that I was struggling with in that time. So that's the great thing about football clubs is there can be 3 or 4 small forwards on the field at the one time. So you've got to help each other. It's not like basketball where there's one point guard who plays 80% of the time. you need people around you to succeed, and you have to invest in them to get the best out of both them and yourself.
Can you remember when you opened up for the first time?
Maybe not the first time, but I have specific memories of Luke Power, Nick Newman, and Daniel O'Keefe, who were Luke Power and Daniel O'Keefe were the VFL coaches during our hub year, so COVID, and then Nick Newman was injured and he was exploring being a coach, so he helped us younger guys or VFL players during that time, and he saw me upset one day that I wasn't close to getting picked in the AFL team, and he had a chat to me and then said, go talk to Luke Power and Dan O'Keefe about how you're feeling, because I felt like time was running out in that moment, and I went and opened up to them and then worked through some things, and then I got my first game about a month later.
Did you get emotional? Like, was it hard to open up?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Talking about my feelings isn't something that comes naturally. I think it's a learned skill. And I think I've learnt that over my journey, and I think that's something that I'm proud of about myself. But yeah, it's definitely something pretty hard for me.
Why do you think that is?
Probably just proud, I think. Like, in sport, you're told not to show emotion a lot of the time, especially as a point guard in basketball. You're told everyone looks at you for calmness and to set the tone out there. So probably from a young age, I was told not to show it in a sporting sense, and sport emulates life, I've found. So I think that's part of the reason. But then as sport's gone on, it's taught me to open up. So it's sort of come a full circle, which is pretty cool.
You said you were proud of yourself.
Yeah.
Come a long way, obviously.
Yeah, a long way. Yeah. Yeah. As we all do in life. I think sports allowed me to go on a journey both physically and mentally, which is something that I think not all people get to do in their workplace, or encouraged to do, to explore high performance and what that looks like, which then carries over into your life. I probably haven't thought about that, actually. That's a pretty good question. Yeah.
Do you think you were a better player when all of that... I'm trying to think of a way to describe how you would have been feeling. If you bottled it all in, do you think you became a better player when you let it out and told people about how you're feeling? You haven't looked at it like that either.
Maybe. Yeah. I think during the whole thing, my self-belief was growing as well. So I think that has a thing to play in having a career best year. I also think maybe the pressure. I love pressure. So I think maybe that added to it as well. And then also you try and look for things to hook onto to motivate you. And in a long season, it's pretty hard, but I had a clear thing to hook onto, which was I want to play myself into a contract. That's what I was doing. Sort of my purpose for the year, not my overarching purpose, but something that I could really hone into was that I was playing for my career. And being 27, you don't have very long left, so I'm playing for basically like my livelihood was what I was playing for.
Do you feel it was hard to hook into something when there was that uncertainty during the season?
At times there was, yeah, for sure. But I think I've spent enough time learning about myself and what I can hook into and what I see as motivation to get up and perform when maybe you're not feeling well, maybe you're a little bit injured, something that will hook you in and allow you to feel 100% motivated out there. Something that I've learned over the journey, and I'm still learning about myself because things change in your life. Different things give you motivation at different times. So that's ever evolving. But I think I did a pretty good job last year of hooking onto, I love playing, I love competing, and this is what I want to do with my life. So my performance has to emulate that.
You mentioned you're still learning about yourself. What do you think is the main thing that you've learned?
Or probably that it's it's a blessing and a curse how I operate. I'm pretty obsessive. Got a very obsessive nature.
Been like that since a kid?
I think it's come from some setbacks. I think it's all related to sport. How I've grown up and everything that I've learned has come from different feelings I've had in sport over the journey. But yeah, probably just realizing that obsessiveness is really good, and it is what separates me, but it is also something that can hurt me if I become too locked in. That's probably what I've learned about myself the most.
You mentioned you came from what? So you were junior when the sports stuff started happening and it affected you?
Yeah.
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 What do you know what they are?
I've probably touched on it a bit, but sense of belonging, feeling valued.
It's similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I missed out on a state team for basketball when I was trying to make an Australian team, and the 4 other guys who were making that team with me all got picked and I didn't. And they all went to the AIS and I didn't. So it's probably all come from a sense of, at that time, I felt like I was getting overlooked, and when I thought I deserved that. But at the end of the day, you just have to realize it's just one person's opinion about you and one person's judgment at that time in space. And you can change that through hard work and believing in yourself and having those around you believe in what you can do.
Michael Jordan once said, "I can only control my performance. If I do my best, then I can feel good at the end of the day."
There you go.
I find it interesting that I think you said before that I'll let my performance do the talking.
Yeah.
I want to talk to that.
Yeah, that was almost word for word, wasn't it? Well, at the end of the day, people, no matter how hard you work behind the scenes, how hard you obsess, how much you put into your work, the general public and what you get graded on only see you for 2.5 hours. So all the work you do behind closed doors is just setting yourself up to perform for 2.5 hours when it matters most. So that's what I've learned over the journey, that I'll train hard, but if my body needs a break, I'll let it have a break, because at the end of the day, it is about 2.5 hours on the weekend on how you perform and how you help your team win is what you're judged off. So, all the hard work that you put in leads to the performance that others see.
I spoke to someone that you knew before this, and he said you were very good at switching off, like when you needed to.
Yeah.
And it's sort of counteracting, I guess, what you've sort of spoken about.
Yeah.
But would you say that's the most important thing about, because I've got that mindset as well. So I know for me to get clarity, I need to just sort of go and be on my own sometimes. And you spoke about being an extrovert and an introvert as well. Do you see that introverted side of you as an important factor as to the extroverted side of you?
Yeah, well, I think it allows me to relate to multiple people. And this is where I think I touched on earlier, that it's not just about on-field, it's about off-field as well. I feel like I can relate to a lot of people on a list at AFL level because I've been the worst on the list. I've then worked into being a fringe player and playing some weeks, getting dropped and going through all those emotions. And then I've also been at the point where I'm playing every week and I know the stresses of that as well. And then also on top of that, I can be extroverted and I can be introverted. So I feel like I can relate to a lot of people, and I feel like that allows me to do that, being a bit of both. Maybe not everyone, but the majority of people. And I think that's where my off-field attributes can complement my on-field attributes as well.
When you were bottling everything in and not talking, was your extroverted side sort of taking over in that situation?
Bit of both. I can go pretty quiet, and then I can also burst out and be a little bit uncontrollable. What I think is uncontrollable, which probably isn't too bad. But I can get quite grumpy when I'm in that mood. But lucky I've got people around me who call me out for it.
What's some of the things that you do when you're in that quiet mode to try and get you out of it?
Probably go outside. I got a Australian Shepherd cross Kelpie, which keeps me pretty busy. So I take her for a walk, play ball with her.
Is it Jess?
Jessie, yeah.
Jessie, yeah. Someone told me that.
Yeah, Jessie. So she gets me out of it a lot if I'm by myself. And then also just a quick clip over the ears from either a mate or the missus usually gets me out of it.
Would you see yourself as a perfectionist?
Probably someone who chases perfection, probably not a perfectionist. I don't love things perfect, but I'm chasing that.
Are you comfortable? Because I always say that, you relate it back to whatever you want, but like even podcasting, like you can never be like perfect.
Yeah.
Do you find comfort that you're always going to be chasing as well, just to be better?
I think so. I think that's what I love about sport. I like the game of football and I like watching it. I like playing it. I loved playing basketball, but I think over the journey, I've just figured out that I love chasing getting better every single day. And I'm just lucky that I'm in a field that puts that up on a pedestal and is something that everyone's striving for or is at least told to strive for. So I'm lucky that my mind and what the field that I'm in, they sort of go hand in hand and has allowed me to get some sort of success in it.
Do you want to touch on the basketball journey?
Yeah.
It's quite we could be here for another 2 hours on the but we go to the early childhood, and I'm assuming were you playing much footy during your childhood?
Yeah, I played almost every sport. My mum was my PE teacher, so she just put everything in my hands, I guess. But it ended up being that I loved basketball and footy. They were the two that caught my eye the most. And at the time where it was probably around year 9, I was playing school footy, local footy, and then I was also playing rep basketball, state basketball, and I just made my first Australian team for basketball. So it was really, am I going to play school footy or am I going to play for Australia? And at that time, I thought I was getting more opportunity in basketball, and that was something that I was going to just dive headfirst into. And that's sort of how I made the decision to give up football when I was 15, I think, 14, 15.
And you got drafted in 2018. So how long were you playing basketball before you got drafted?
6 years.
6 years, okay.
6 years just basketball, no footy.
Best memory?
Oh, probably winning a silver medal at a world championship. That was pretty cool. That was awesome. Played USA in the final. Closest team to them in the under-17 championship. We lost by, I think it was 7 points or something like that. You got tons of NBA stars now in that team.
Really?
That was pretty cool.
And how long were you in Seattle, I think? From memory as well?
So I played 1 year at Hawaii, which is a Division I college, and then I transferred to Seattle for a year. But because it was Division I to Division I had to sit out. So I wasn't able to play, just did all the hard stuff, training and everything. And I actually went back for my third year, and a lot of my mates had transferred out of there or finished up. And I was just sitting there and I was like, do I really want to do this? Is this what I want to do? And football was always in the back of my mind through being a Category B rookie.
What happened? I mean, not what happened, but like, was there something that happened while you're playing basketball that's caused you to go, fuck, maybe football's an option?
Yeah, well, when I was in Hawaii, I got misdiagnosed with a heart condition. Really? Like 3 weeks before playing my first game, I had like an ECG and it showed up a little bit funky.
Wow.
Nothing wrong with me. It just did, and got told I was never going to play sport again because the stress could hurt my heart just off this ECG. So I was in hospital, got all these tests done, and it was just nothing wrong with me. It was just a faulty test or whatnot. So that's
not good for you.
Yeah, and then so I ended up playing, and I just wasn't myself. I was probably going through a bit of PTSD from that. I think probably seeing what I wanted to be taken away. And then that sort of ended up making me leave Hawaii because I wanted a fresh start. Thought I wasn't myself there after that. So I just wanted a fresh start. And then sitting out a year in Seattle also ruined it for me, not being able to play, not being able to compete. That was tough. That were probably the two moments.
For someone like you, that to be told never to play basketball again or any sport.
Tough. Yeah, tough. Especially being on the other side of the world at 18, 19, it was pretty brutal. But I mean, it was only for 3 weeks or whatnot. Tough 3 weeks, and obviously had an effect on me after. But I guess what I learned over the last little bit, and then it reared its face again back then, was that it's all going to be okay. That I ended up somewhere where my performance took me to. Previous performance took me to another Division 1 college. I was able to have another opportunity, and then a bit of luck being able to come back and play AFL. It's all led me to being able to get a 3-year deal at West Coast.
What did the 3 weeks look like when you were going through that?
To be honest, I don't ever remember.
Really?
I don't ever remember.
Yeah.
I just remember having a good support system. I think my mum came out after. But it was tough, but it was that long ago. I can't. And I've been through so much. I can't relate to it.
Of course. And I heard, was it Stephen Silvani that set you up at Carlton?
Yeah. Yeah, I played junior footy against Jack. He went to Xavier. I went to St. Kevin's. He played at Greythorn. I played at Camberwell Sharks. So we just played against each other all the time. And he got in contact with my mum somehow, saying if Matt ever wanted to come back, we would have him. And mum told me this, and I was like, oh, yeah, okay. And then I was sort of left it for a couple of weeks, and then thought about it more in the back of my mind. I was like, oh, I'll just see what it would entail, I guess. And I sent an email to @Carlton FC, the fan email, and can you pass this on to Stephen Silvani with my number? And he ended up texting me back, and I was on a flight back a couple of weeks later. And then got a contract and flew back, got my stuff, and then.
So it happened quickly.
Yeah, very quick. Yeah.
Really? Was it surreal?
Oh, at that time I was probably a bit naive. I was like, oh, it's just another opportunity. Like, get to still be a sports person, get to be paid to play sport this time instead of not over there. I thought I was just going to pick it up and dominate. But it was surreal. Maybe not. I was excited. Was probably the right word.
Was it tough when you weren't what you thought you were, in regards to like being ready to play?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I remember my first game in VFL. I played Geelong down at GMHBA Stadium, and my parents were there, and I think I had 1 or 2 touches the whole game. And I remember standing in the car park after everyone had left with my parents, sort of maybe tears in my eyes, thinking, what have I done? Like I've given up my basketball career to come and play VFL and try and get into the AFL team. I was 21 at the time, just turned 22, probably starting to get into the peak of basketball, and then gave it all up to get 1 or 2 touches in the VFL. It was pretty tough.
Gave it all up. So you were on a trajectory in NBA?
Nah.
Not NBA, sorry, basketball.
Yeah, I was probably going to come back and play NBL for however many years.
Yeah.
Maybe if I was lucky, get over to Europe. The door had shut on NBA just because I wasn't tall enough, wasn't athletic enough for that. Guys like Ben Simmons were playing my position, so it was a no-brainer that wasn't going to happen. But I gave up probably a 14, 15-year career over here in the NBL.
What did the pathway look like to actually getting game fit? I'm assuming it was two hard years.
Yeah, it was really hard. First session, I think I did my hamstring. Yeah. Second session, I didn't. After that, I came back, did my other hamstring. And then because I was so far off it skills-wise, this is where my obsessive nature hurts me, is I kicked my quad tendon off. So like I would kick the ball so many times trying to get better that I actually got a really bad irritation on my quad tendon that kept me out for 12 weeks.
Yeah.
But lucky enough, that helped me run and get fit and not have to worry about doing everything at once. And I was just able to focus on my body. And I dropped like 7 kilos in about 3 months and got myself to a level where I could go out there and give myself a chance to perform or learn and try different things instead of just trying to catch up to everyone.
Did you find it easy to prove yourself?
No, I don't think so. I think it was pretty hard. I think first impressions are super important. I think that's how people view you in the long term. And I think my first impressions were that I was so far off it, that those coaches at that time, it was hard to change their opinion of me. So I think that was hard to prove, and then also prove to your teammates that they can trust you out there on the field was also hard to change.
Why's that?
Well, again, it's the first impression of me was that I couldn't kick, couldn't pick up the ball, couldn't handball, that I was going to turn it over or make it a bad decision. So I think it took me a long time to gain trust with those around me, to be able to perform in the heat of battle.
I can't help but bring it back to that whole contentment piece. I mean, that whole build up to actually playing. Like, is there anything else you think you could have done during that time, or is it like you were giving your all?
Give my all.
Yeah.
Always do. Told many people that my biggest fear is that I'll end up being 50 and I'll be talking in a pub or whatever with my mates saying, I could have been this if I tried harder, if I did this differently, I could have been that. That's my biggest fear, that I'll get to the end of my career and have regrets. So I think no matter what I do, I'm going to work my ass off to give myself the best chance to be the best possible player and person that I can be.
The harder I work, the luckier I get.
Yeah. Well, hopefully. Yeah.
Do you reflect on quotes like that, and do you have anything that you like look to in times of like challenges?
Wouldn't say that I'm a big quote guy. I don't look at that. I think I do a lot of reflecting. I do a lot of looking back on performances, looking back on how I set up my week. Have I done everything to get my body in the best possible shape to perform? Have I helped others, or have I just been thinking about myself? So a lot of reflection more so. And then also just stepping away from footy and doing things that I enjoy outside to give myself a perspective on that it's, at the end of the day, it's just a game. It's my job and something that I want to be, that I'm striving to be the best at, or the best that I can be. But at the end of the day, it's still just a game of footy.
Do you fear that if, like the way you operate, and I know it because I sort of suffer with it, do you fear that you'll get to, I know this is 50 is so far away, but like, do you fear that no matter what you do, like it'll never be enough?
I think I've struggled with that over my journey, but I think I've done a lot of work individually about being okay that I'm not going to reach where I keep striving to reach. Once I get to a level, like my first goal was to play an AFL game, and once I got to the AFL game, I wasn't happy because I didn't perform how I thought I was. But the goal was just to play a game, and then I wanted to play every game of a season. But I've just done that, and it's still not enough. So I think that's what makes me good, but it also hinders me because I'm never going to reach what I'm striving for. But at the end of the day, I've given my all and will continue to give my all. So I will be happy when I'm 50 sitting in the pub talking shit with my mates.
Success is not the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success. If you love what you're doing, you will be successful.
There you go.
It's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, good way to put it. Yeah.
I struggle with that as well.
Yeah.
You set something, you achieve it, and you're like, nothing changes.
Yeah.
It's like with my page almost, like imagine having 5,000 followers.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, fuck, it means fuck all.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Literally. What is, like the discontentment, I guess, that comes from not being able to achieve something, I guess.
Yeah, I guess that always comes from wanting to be better But I think what I've learned is to help others chase their dreams as well, and that gives you a sense of fulfillment as well, is what I've found works for me. That might not work for the next guy or someone else, but that's something that I enjoy, is seeing other people reach their goals as well, or strive to reach a goal at the end of the day. And that's what makes me happy and gives me a sense of fulfillment that maybe I'm not getting on my own, because I'm never going to reach what I'm aiming for.
Why do you think that helps you?
I don't know. It's pretty cool seeing other people succeed. I know that I wouldn't be in the position that I am today without others. So I think being able to give back to people who are open to it and that want to lean on me, it's a pretty privileged position to be in. So being able to give back to others when other people have helped me get to where I am is pretty cool.
Who are the people that you relied on during, let's just say, the tough times in the club? I'm assuming there's a whole support team around AFL. And do you think that's changed, like from say 2018, from when you got drafted to now, or has it always been a pretty good support system there?
There's been a pretty good support system, and Carlton's a very like family club, so that, they look after you. I think as everyone, you rely on your best mates. So over the journey, I've been lucky to have guys in football, out of football, my family. At different times, I've lent on different people and their experiences to help guide me through it. There wouldn't be just one person, otherwise it'd probably be a shit show. Yeah.
On the topic of striving, what are you actually striving for?
Probably right now I'm striving for the respect of my teammates when I rock up. That's probably the next thing that I want. Whether I get that or not, it's up to them to decide. But I'll work my ass off to gain the respect of my teammates and my coaches. That's what I'm striving for at the moment.
Is that hard? Like to go, and you've done it before, but do you see it as hard going into football club and actually generating respect? Like, what do you think of if you were to narrow it down to like 2 or 3 things, like what do you think people look for new people that come into the club?
Well, I think first off, good bloke. I don't think football clubs these days would allow you to be a shit bloke. So that's number one. Number 2 is if you work hard. So if you train hard, do extras, everything under the sun, I guess. That's probably number 2. And then number 3 is that you help others. So I think those 3 things, in my eyes at least, will gain respect.
When does training start?
Next Monday. Well, the younger boys have already gone back, but I'll go back next Monday to try and meet a couple before we fully start on the 25th.
So you're going up in a few days, and what? So you've already got a place, have you sorted, or you haven't figured anything out?
Very lucky that the club's as big as it is. Yeah. They are very wealthy, and they're very, from my experience so far, very caring, and just want you to be happy. So they own a couple of townhouses near the training field, so they're going to put me up in that for the first month, I guess, and then after that they'll help me find a place for me and my partner.
It's all happening, man.
Yeah,
there's a lot that's going to happen in the coming month, I would have thought. Are you, and I know we sort of touched on it before, but like going into it all, like there has to be a big element of excitement, like the unknown almost of it all as well. Yeah. Like, are you excited for what's to come?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like if you said to me when I was 12 years old, you're going to be able to go over 3-year contract, be settled at one of the biggest clubs in the AFL. I think they had the 3rd most amount of members, and they were in the bottom 3 last year. So it's a massive club, massive, passionate supporter base. You'd be pretty stoked. I've been spoiled being able to play in front of Carlton fans, playing big games, feel their passion. And I think this is just going to be that again in a smaller town. So, excitement to do that. And then also first year head coach, it's pretty exciting when someone gets the reins for the first time and he'll be able to do it his way and put his imprint on the team and the game plan and stuff. I think it's pretty exciting. So yeah, I'm very, very excited.
How do you define success for yourself beyond just winning?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't even just define it as winning. It would be getting better every single day.
Yeah. So beyond just winning.
Yeah.
In addition.
Yeah. In addition, it would be just finding a way to get better every single day.
Would that be a build up of small wins potentially?
For sure.
Do you set goals?
Yep. Every week. Yep.
What did that look like?
Whether I want to, maybe I just want to do an extra session of touch each day for 10 minutes. That might be as simple as it is. Or my goal this week is to have a coffee with someone that I don't usually do it. Then just go have a chat, go sit down. That might be something that makes both me and someone else better. Just from that, it could be I really want to work on my goal kicking this week. So I'm going to do 3 extra sessions of goal kicking. And then on top of that, I'm going to do some snaps to finish as well.
I've never heard anyone set weekly goals.
Really?
Is that common? I listen to a lot of people and talks, but I've never come across someone that sets weekly goals. I know maybe people do.
Yeah. Well, I think in such a high performance environment, and we get constructive feedback every single week about our performance, I think you'd be behind the 8 ball if you didn't take on your feedback from the coaches and those around you about what you can do better in your game, and then not to set yourself goals for the week off the back of that. I think you'd be a step behind the 8 ball. So I don't know if that might just be a Carlton thing. I don't know, but that's something that I think should come with the job if you're serious about it.
How important is it to set goals for you? And do you have short, medium term? It sounds like you do, like short, medium, and long term. Do you have a system in place that you sort of tick things off, or is it just in your brain?
Bits and pieces. I would love to be checklist, but I think the game changes so much around us constantly, and your role might change in the team, personnel, who's playing beside you. So I think having those goals written down when they can change so much is probably not the best thing. But I do have short term, so like weekly goals, and then I'll set out goals for what I want to get out of the preseason, what I'm striving after, even if they're just words. Doesn't have to be an end target. I don't know, I want to be brave to take the game on, so I might have an overarching goal of being brave. And then for the year, it might be, I don't know where it could take me. I haven't done them for this year, so we'll see.
How do you self-analyze yourself? Do you rewatch performances and how do you get better and all that sort of stuff? Is that something that the club helps with as well? Yeah,
so they give us weekly film and reviews on how we played, both good, bad, in between, and stuff like that. But then also, I think I'm a pretty harsh judge of myself, and I know where I sit for the most part, and what I need to get better at. So I'm probably my own harshest critic, as corny as that sounds. But I think that's what makes me good, is that I'm aware of my deficiencies. I've had to work on being kind to myself and talking about my strengths as well. But I think that sets me up to be able to set goals and then achieve them most of the time. Sometimes I don't achieve them.
What are your strengths?
Probably my leadership, my work ethic, and my self-belief. They're probably the 3 that have gotten me to the point that I can. And then off the back of that, my smarts on the field is what sets me apart.
I'll get a lot of leadership, a lot of experience out there, and you can't underestimate the power of that and what that can do for a group. I think that's what you said.
There you go. Yeah.
How is that? As I'm reading it out here, West Coast controversial 3-club trade deal, including Owies, it was met with criticism from fans and AFL media alike. Was that another cherry?
Nah, it's okay. It's just someone else's point of view. I know that I'm wanted there and I'm valued. And so was Liam Baker in that instance. People might not agree with it, but at the end of the day, I know that they're going to get two guys that will play their heart out for the club and will make the club better, both on field and off field. So you probably can't put a price on that. West Coast did with pick number 3. So that's obviously something that they value really highly. And hopefully both of us can repay them for showing that faith. I'm sure pick 12 will be great too.
How important is the leadership piece in what you do? I mean, it's if you look at yourself going into West Coast compared to going into Carlton, would you see that as the main, let's just say, growth?
Yeah, for sure. Coming from, not knowing any game plan or anything about football to now being someone who can verbalise it, help teach others, but still be open to learning from others. I think leadership's a two-way street. You can't just hammer down stuff. You have to be open and you still learn from other people, whether they're a first-year player or have played 15 years in the system. But I think my journey has helped me be able to relate to everyone on the list or most people on the list. And I think that is where my leadership qualities start, is being able to relate and understand what others are going through, because more than likely I've been through that situation myself.
How do you teach it?
Probably talk from experience, listen to what they're feeling and try and relate it to feelings that you've had over the journey. Because I can tell you right now, I've had every feeling under the sun during my sporting journey. So being able to relate that back and tell them that they're not alone in those feelings, and then also bringing on different things from other people. So like from Cripper, what he does, how Vossi led the environment, but then still being open to change. And I'm sure Andrew McGold is going to be different to Vossi. There'll be similarities, there'll be differences, but then also then relating their message onto others around you.
Are you observant of other people?
For sure, yeah.
So would you say you're good at picking, like you said before, the best aspects of Cripper and sort of trying to apply it to you as well?
Yeah. I think I'm very good at observing what other people do that makes them great, and then at least trying it. So I don't try everything, but if I think it's a good idea, I remember when I first started, Cade Simpson was always in the recovery centre, like always. And he played 16, 17 years, however long he did. But I picked that aspect from him. And then different people work hard. It's not always the top dogs like Cripper and stuff like that. Nick Newman came from being a mature age recruit, and he's now in his 30s and he's finished top 2 in the BNF 2 years in a row after not finishing the top 10 all through his 20s. So like learning off people like that, and seeing what they do to make them great. It might not work for me, but I'll give it a go.
What do you think? I asked about the whole content thing. Are you content with your time at Carlton? What do you think is the main thing that you've learned at your time at Carlton?
To be open to trying new things and to ask questions. The only way you learn is by asking other people about their experience, or what should I do, or what do I need to get better at, instead of just waiting for other people to come to you to give you feedback, is going to seek it or ask questions about, what did you do in your first year that made it easier for you, learning from others. That's probably the biggest thing. Ask questions and learn from others.
How do you think you learnt that?
That's a great question. I have no idea. I think it just sort of naturally came to ask. Because I was a new kid, I had no experience. I would always watch other people in basketball. So I think that just naturally came across in how I learned in basketball. But then I think in footy, I was just so raw that I had to ask. And then I got praise for it, other people acknowledging it. And then it just became natural and something that I preached to other people from that.
Are you shocked when you see younger people come in now and you're like, fuck, that was me?
For sure.
Really?
It still feels like the other day.
Really?
Yeah. So when, I don't know, you guys come in and this year were like asking, "Oh, how's it feel to play every game?" I still feel like I can't believe that I was doing that. Like it feels like the other day that I was battling to get a kick at training or battling to stay on the park because I was out of shape or injured, trying to change my body. So it's a pretty cool full circle moment. Yeah.
I was going to say, what does that make you feel like? Is it like a reflective moment? You're like, fuck, I'm pretty lucky.
Yeah, very lucky. Yeah. But it also makes you grateful for the experience and where you've come from. That's something that I've learnt about, is being grateful for where you are and not always looking at where you are going next. So like looking in the moment, otherwise you miss everything that's going on around you.
What are you grateful for?
Opportunity to do what I love with people who are great people. That's probably like what I'm most grateful for in my sporting career, is being able to go out there and compete every day and strive to get better every single day in an environment that tries to coax that out of you. That's probably what I'm most grateful for.
Do you think you would have said that a few years ago?
Yeah, for sure not. I probably would have come up with some wishy-washy answer, but I think over the journey you become sure of what works for you and who you are, and I think that's what has helped me get to the point that I am, and hopefully I can continue to get better from that. Whether that happens or not, it's up to performances on the weekend and all the hard work behind closed doors, but hopefully I can get better and strive to be the best version of myself every day, to give myself the best opportunity of that.
You said you were understanding, basically in that, your understanding of who you are, as a person. Yeah. Is there something, what do you think is the main thing that shifted in you to actually get that understanding? Because that's a journey, man.
Yeah, it's a great question. Probably the environment of football allows you to open up. So we're encouraged to open up in front of the group, to each other, lean on each other, different little groups that you get put into an activity sort of to coax that out of you. I think that's a great thing about AFL. But yeah, that's probably just it's a learnt skill over time.
What's it like opening up in front of the group?
Oh, it's pretty daunting, especially when you don't know people. Yeah, it takes a lot of courage, and you see some guys do it very well, some guys don't. But at the end of the day, they're just being who they are, and I'm being who I am during that. So if I get nervous, then that's all right.
Is it a compulsory thing?
Mostly, yeah. I mean, there would be people that would say that, I don't want to do that, but you would be highly encouraged to do it if that's something that the coach wants. If the coach wants you to tell your story. I know when Richmond were playing and won their finals, their 3 out of 4, I think. I think they started that trend of getting up in front and telling their story or answering questions and stuff like that. And I certainly did that when I came to Carlton. Whether that happens at West Coast, God knows. I don't know, but I'm sure I'll be nervous at some point.
What did you tell him?
God knows. I don't know.
There was Depends. A while ago. No.
Oh, so what did I tell them?
Yeah, so when you say your story, was that the shift that made you start opening up a bit more?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I had to get in front of the group and tell them about my basketball, about my footy, about my family. Yeah. I think there was 3 questions. I can't overly remember. But we do different aspects of that almost every year, or at least at Carlton we did. I think last year we had to write a letter to our 12-year-old self about what we're doing, different feelings, advice we'd give them and stuff like that. So that was a cool exercise.
It's a crazy exercise.
So
that's a crazy good exercise.
Yeah, it just sort of, I don't know, it allows you to tap in and then reflect on where you've been, where you are now and where you want to go. It was pretty cool. It gives you insight into everything that's going in your head and you have to write it down in paper.
What would you say to your 12-year-old self?
That it's going to be a crazy journey and that I'm not going to tell you where it's going to lead you, but just believe in yourself and let others guide you.
Powerful.
Yeah.
It's very powerful. I wish Yeah, I'm trying to think what I'd say to my 12-year-old self. Fuck, that's a powerful one, man.
It's hard. Yeah,
A lot of people like confused, like when they have to do that.
I think at the start, but then once, I think guys who are a little bit more certain got up there, or either I can't remember if it was on video, like so you said it in front of the camera and then it got played, different aspects, or whether you actually got up there and told it, but you sort of just get ideas off other people. I don't know, if you're really struggling, I'm sure someone would have helped you.
It sounds like the club and AFL have, because that's like an incredible, thing to do, but not, I didn't know that stuff went on. So like, it's amazing that they sort of prioritize how you're feeling. And I think what I said before, success is not the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success.
Yeah.
It sounds like obviously being fit and being ready is important, but it sounds like there's arguably an equal balance as to the importance of how you're feeling.
Yeah, I think like it's just become widely known that what goes on in your head also has an effect on your performance on day-to-day stuff, and then also on game day. So it would be, and then also on top of that, a sense of belonging and other people understanding where you fit in, I guess, the little social network that is a football team, allows you to feel comfortable. And then when you feel comfortable, it allows you to explore different things. Like I said, like ask questions, understand who to go to, who's more like you, who's not. It just opens up so many different avenues to understand where you sit and then where you're going to take your performance.
How important is someone's role in an AFL game, in an AFL team? Sorry.
Super.
Yeah.
You can't. Gone are the days where one guy stands at full forward and just gets the ball kicked to him. Yeah. People stand inside 50. It doesn't happen anymore. You're connected to everyone on the field, whether you're standing in the goal square at full forward and someone's standing at full back. You rely on everyone to complete your role. So that's where, coming back to what I said before, helping others is really important, because you're going to have to rely on them to get your job done on game day, whether it's by one act by them or you're playing alongside them in a really tight-knit group in a forward line trying to put on pressure. So like, to explain it, like I'm putting on pressure in the forward 50 with two other small forwards and the bigs, but I don't have time to put that on unless the halfbacks get out and cover their man, so there's not a free kick to give out. So that's how connected the whole line and everyone around the field is.
Is that good for someone like you that's constantly thinking about trying to get better? Does it help that there's so many things going on, or I don't know, that probably wouldn't help, but there's so many things to think about. So it's like there's so many things to be better at.
Yeah, probably. And it's also makes you realise that the game's imperfect. So someone who wants to be perfect, you realise pretty bloody quick that you just can't. AFL is just a game of turnovers, game of mistakes. And can you switch off and change your mindset after making a mistake to go and give yourself another opportunity to make the right decision? It's a pretty cool environment to be in, and something that you learn a lot about yourself over the journey. Just lucky that I've been in it for 6 years and I get to do it for another couple.
6 years, long time.
Long time, yeah.
I asked what you learned. I asked if you've been content, but if there's anything else you want to add on that career.
There's probably not many basketballers that get to make a career out of footy. I mean, Mason Cox is one, Hugh Greenwood.
What you say, passports, did you say?
Basketballs.
Basketballs, sorry. Yeah, of course.
Basketballs that get to make it. So Mason Cox, Hugh Greenwood, Tom Forden. I'm probably missing a couple, but you don't get to stay in the system for a long time. So I'm very lucky to be able to do that. It's something that I'm proud of myself for doing.
Yeah, I was going to ask. Yeah, you said you weren't content, but is there an element of, God, I've done something that not many people have done before?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I've been able to experience living in another country, playing another sport at a very high level, and then being able to be given an opportunity that I've had to make my own to be able to do that in Australia's game, basically. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Has anyone said you should be proud of yourself or things like that? Or is it something you said?
My parents.
Yeah.
Parents, partners' parents, friends. They constantly remind me of the journey and how proud they are of me and how proud I should be of myself.
How important is that constant reminder?
Yeah, very.
We're very similar.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, you're like, could be doing more.
Yeah.
So to get reminded of it, I'm starting to listen with what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
It's still hard, man.
Yeah, it is. It is very hard. But once you step back and you see where journey's taken you in life, it's pretty easy to see that your hard work's been for something. Whether it's important or not, it's another thing. I know that once I finish my career, someone's going to come and take my job and they're on their journey. But I know that I'll be happy with everything that I've put in and then given to other people as well over my journey, that hopefully I can impact some people's careers and lives the way that others have for me.
3 years at West Coast, mate. Big things.
Big things, hopefully.
Big things.
Yeah.
I can feel it.
Yeah. We'll see where it takes me. Yeah. I'm just excited for the opportunity to feel valued and then make it my own, because they've obviously shown some faith, so hopefully I can repay that to them.
Lot of good things coming, mate. I can feel it. I think that, what were we going for? Hour 25.
Nice.
Quite the chat, man.
Yeah.
It's good to finally get it done. And just trying to think, is there any word of advice for, anyone that's in the thick of it like you were during the season? Any last bit of knowledge before we wrap it up?
Don't know. There's just always someone that cares. No matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, there's always someone that will listen to you and give you advice if you're open to it. That's probably the major thing that I've learnt.
Maybe we do another one of these if you're visiting Melbourne in what, 18 months or something, and we'll see how far you come, brother.
We'll see.
I can feel it. But you're probably one of those people that, you'd rather prove it than actually have good words of affirmation said about it. Yeah, probably. I'm the exact same. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
There you go.
Thanks so much for your time, brother.
No
really
worries.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
We'll finish off the rest of this steak.
Easy.
Thanks so much, brother.